Hi everyone, Joe March here, also known as the Sorcerer, and because so many people reacted so positively to my last Sorcerer 2.0 video, we're doing another one today. Today we're talking about meditation, trance state, and shamanic journeying. We'll start off by talking about meditation, which to me is the one and only practice that I'm going to talk about in this series that I recommend to everyone. Now, anyone who listened to my previous video knows that I said any of these occult type practices aren't recommended unless it's what you were going to do anyway. I'm not trying to guide people into them. However, I don't see meditation as an occult practice per se, as much as it just happens to be a regular practice that ends up being used in occult practices because it's valuable, regardless of whether you're trying to get into the occult or not. What do they say about meditation? They say meditation is a practice in which an individual uses a technique, such as mindfulness, focusing the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity, to train attention and awareness, and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable state. I would say that's an absolutely good way to describe it, even though that doesn't tell you how to do it. Now, I have studied mindfulness, and it's the reason that I say even if you're not going to get into the occult or anything like that, the benefits of mindfulness are worth it. You don't need to have any other practices tied to this other than meditation in order to gain the benefits of mindfulness, so you don't have to get into the occult at all in order to gain the benefits of meditation. And unlike the other practices we're going to talk about, there's no downside to meditation. It just improves your physical and mental health, so I said get on board with this. If anything out there that I would recommend to everyone, meditation. Now the keys to remember out of this statement on the screen here is the part that says to train attention and awareness. From my point of view, as long as you're actually training attention and awareness, you're doing meditation. For me personally, one of the easiest ways to do a more traditional meditation would be to do what some people call the body scan. That's where you sit with your feet flat on the floor, with your spine straight, shoulders parallel, put your hands in your lap or on the arms of a chair, close your eyes or leave them open, whatever makes you feel more relaxed, and you breathe deeply and try not to let your thoughts wander. I think in the past, you might have heard me say things more along the lines of try not to think at all, but if we try not to think at all, you end up thinking about not thinking, so it just becomes this spiral that doesn't work. It's actually better to try to bring the attention to something as opposed to stopping all thinking altogether. The goal when people say stopping thinking with meditation is to stop that chatter going on in your head. So if you're walking out of a meeting and you're like, oh my God, what? And your brain is like walking through this checklist of things that you either like or don't like, and it's giving you stress in your body, that's when you need to sit, have a meditation moment, and pull your attention out of that. So the goal isn't necessarily to drop all thought as much as it is to focus your attention where you need it to be. Now in the body scan method, where you focus your attention is going to be into doing the method, because the method requires you to concentrate on different areas of your body and feel whatever you're feeling from that area. So you would start by concentrating, you could either go from head to feet or feet to head. If you're going feet to head, you would start by concentrating on your toes and feeling the skin and feeling the muscle and everything going on there. Feel the tension, move into feeling your feet, then move into feeling your ankles, your calves, etc. You just move up the body, feeling the different muscles and tension that you have over the course of about 5 minutes or so. As you do this, you're going to notice areas that you are stiff, areas where you're feeling not so great. This is going to help show you whether you're feeling stressed out or whether you're feeling relaxed. The more that you go through the process of feeling this and noticing, being aware of wherever these tensions are, the more you're going to start to feel them relax. And that's mostly the goal of the meditation, is to get yourself into a relaxed state where you're present in the moment instead of where you're stressed and thinking about other stuff. Now, breathing can be a large part of this. Everybody always says take deep breaths whenever you're doing this. So instead of breathing quick, short breaths, you want to breathe in, hold, breathe out. And what you're really doing with this is you're calming the body yet again, because your body is used to getting signals from yourself and from the outside world to tell it whether you are stressed out, whether you need to be ready to run, or whether you're ready to relax and take a nap. So when you're breathing really fast and your heart rate goes up, your body takes that to be a stressed out sort of situation. It's trying to amp up the speed at which it can process stuff so that it can get the shit out of there if something goes down. When you're breathing more slowly, your body takes it as being in a calm and safe space. So even if you're not, if you force your breath to go slowly, your body will just instinctively believe that you've moved into a safe location. So this is really tricking the body into calming down. But don't worry if you're somebody who can't breathe as deeply or hold for as long as other meditations say. As long as your body is calming down from the process, your breathing is working right. Another common form of meditation is the same type of setup that we were just talking about. Feet on the floor, back straight, hands down, and you are paying attention to the breathing itself. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3, breathing out, 1, 2, 3, and feeling that breath as it's coming in and out. Paying attention to the feeling of the breath moving through your body. This works for some people. I find that it doesn't work for a lot of people. They start to ignore the breath. This, which can be good. If you're good at meditation and you've done it a while, you can start to ignore these different things and just drop into the calm state that you need. But if you're early in, keeping your focus on the breath can be hard. I feel like it's easy for your mind to wander with that particular technique. But I've digressed a bit. And if you go online to different occult forums, you're going to find people talking about how they meditated for 2 hours, or how they meditated for 5 hours, or how they meditated for 8 hours. And you know what? That is not the point of meditation. From my understanding, meditating for 5 minutes to 15 minutes every day is the sweet spot for meditation. And being able to meditate in short bursts, where it's like 1 minute when you have a free minute, and have it actually be effective, which takes some practice, is also the sweet spot. So I'd say if you practice meditation for 5 minutes a day for a year, then you're going to find that you can enter into that same calm state by simply stopping, recognizing that you're stressed out, taking a deep breath, holding it and letting it out, and that's all you'll need. The body starts to recognize the feeling of calm awareness that you get from meditation after having done it so long, and is able to get into that state much faster. And that's really what you're looking for. That's what you're looking for in life, is the ability to take a step back, have that breath, and then feel better. And that's what you're looking for if you're going to go into the occult, because that's the need we have of this practice in the occult. All those benefits I described in meditation are great, but that's not what they use them for in the occult. The purpose of meditation in the occult is to get you into that calm state that is aware and that is not cluttered by the other thoughts that are going on. So anything you can do that can get you into that state works. I find that if I go on a really nice walk where there's pretty scenery and I'm looking around more than being in my own head, I'll get into that state automatically that way. That's what a lot of people call a walking meditation. If you're somebody who has some kind of a physical issue where you can't sit with your spine straight, it's not a requirement that your spine be straight. It's just what helps a lot of people get into that state. The purpose is to get into that calm, aware, in the moment state. If you can find some method for you that gets you in that state, you're meditating. Now, this is not a meditation channel, so I'm not going to get into all different types. There's numerous different ways to meditate. There's a bunch of things that will take that way deeper to cause other kinds of states that you can feel in your body and stuff. That's fun and all. That's meditation. You can look all that stuff up online. Where we're about to take this is to the trance state. Now, before, where I said that meditation is something that I recommend to absolutely everyone, the trance state is not something that I recommend to everyone. In fact, I think that the trance state is one of the most dangerous aspects of all occult practices that have to do with magic and journeying. Unfortunately, if you want to practice magic or journeying, the trance state is a requirement. So we're going to get into that. So what do they say? A trance state is an altered form of consciousness in which a person is neither fully awake nor fully asleep. In essence, the trance state involves walking between the world of the conscious and subconscious mind. Trance states are sometimes referred to as zoning out, being off with the fairies, out of it, or even daydreaming. So many of you can probably see already, if you didn't already know this, that meditation is a good way to move you towards a state where you are even more zoned out. So you've already started through meditation to calm yourself and to move into a state of attentive awareness. But if you go into a deeper calm, you can travel into this trance state. And some forms of meditation are for the purposes of the trance state, but you really don't need to use meditation to go that extra point. You just need to allow yourself to drift a bit. If you've ever been in the car driving and the constant repetition of the road in front of you has made you sort of zone out and daydream a bit, where you're still actively driving, you're not in any kind of danger or anything, but you aren't 100% here, you're in this weird in-between dreamy land, that's the trance state. You've entered the trance state doing that. That's not where I would say you should go do this, but That's to give you an idea of what we're looking for in the feeling of the trance state. Concentrated and controlled trance state would be to do it while meditating. You would be taking yourself outside of other influences, sitting or laying or however, practicing meditation to reach this calm state, and then allowing yourself to drift into this trance state. However, that's not the way that most cultures got into the trance state in the past. A lot of people used what we call rituals. Hey, we can talk about rituals. So a ritual is a set of actions performed in a pre-described order, oftentimes repetitive, and the purpose of this is to enter trance state. So in the old days, you might have shamanic drumming going on, or just regular drumming going on, and dancing and ecstatic states being reached as you dance around a fire, and just get into a state where you no longer are aware of yourself. You've entered into the trance. We can still do this in a club. People do this all the time. People enter the trance state all the time. It's not hard. Getting yourself to do it on your own command is where the difficulty comes in. Now, why do I say the trance state is one of the most dangerous states? Well, when you're in the trance state, your subconscious mind is very receptive. That means that it will take suggestion much quicker and much more readily than it would otherwise. So if you're in the trance state and some bad actor is telling you something that's going to affect the way you think, it's more likely to sink into your brain and fuck with you at that point. The purpose of entering the trance state is to become more in touch with your subconscious mind. So, throughout most of the day, we have our conscious mind coming up with all the chatter, coming up with what we're going to do, doing whatever it is, plotting stuff out, planning stuff out. And a lot of us only get in touch with our subconscious mind when we sleep, when we have dreams. The dream world is the world of the subconscious. Otherwise, the subconscious feels a bit like a black box that we can't see what the hell it actually is, and it just kind of controls things like our habits and whatever. So some people will use the trance state in order to change bad habits, things like that. You'll hear about this with hypnotism, things of that nature. The goal being to get into this state so that you can connect the conscious and subconscious mind, because in this state, the two are both there present at the same time, and then to give a directive from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind so that it will follow that direction. Some people have success doing this, some people do not. The risk comes in whenever you start trying to do this too often and you start giving your subconscious directions that maybe aren't good for you. You think they're good, but they're not. You say something like, hey, you know what? I want to be the most powerful wizard. And so you say, I'm going to make an affirmation that says, I am a powerful wizard. I'm going to go in the trance state and I'm going to say, I am a powerful wizard. And that's going to make it happen. Yeah. No, it doesn't make it happen. What it makes happen is that your subconscious mind now believes that you are a powerful wizard because you told it you are. So then when you come out, you start to believe all kinds of crazy, phantom, delusional shit because you put it there. So be very cautious if you do try to give direction to your subconscious mind in the trance state, that you're actually doing something that makes sense, that you're not going to make yourself delusional by whatever you're telling it. Baby steps if you're going to try to use this. Like, getting over a fear is a good way to use this. Like, if you're going to say, I have a phobia of spiders, so then you might say something like, I'm not afraid of spiders when you're in the trance state, or spiders are just regular animals, or whatever, and you might try to figure out where that phobia comes from and fix it, and that type of stuff is what the trance state is good for. However, if you were just like, I'm not afraid of anything, well, now you might have just fucked up your whole fear response center. That's not good. You can really fuck things up because you're almost hacking your way into the brain's code and changing shit. So don't do trance state unless you were going to do trance state anyway. If you're like, I want to do this, I want to change shit, or I want to do occult stuff because I just want to be doing occult shit, then you got to learn trance state to do any of it because all of it requires it. But in any other case, stick to just regular meditation. You're going to do fine. You don't need trance state in order to change. Trance state is like a shortcut to change whenever you use it in that way. Now, trance state isn't just used for change. It's also used for all practices that are considered magic. Entering the trance state is, as I said, a method of getting the conscious and subconscious mind to connect to one another. And magical practice for most cultures requires the conscious and subconscious mind to connect to one another in order for the spell to be cast. So entering trance state is supremely important if you are going to do magic. This is not a video on magic, so we're not going to get further into it than that at this point. As we already talked about, trance state is important for hypnotism and for taking affirmations and changing the self in a quick fashion. I don't recommend you use it in this way unless there's something that you're very, 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 very certain is a very small change and is going to actually be helpful. The third thing we use trance state for is shamanic journeying, and that is our next topic. So what do they say? The shamanic journey involves traveling within oneself for the purpose of consultation and therapy. This is a profound way to conduct an internal conversation and to ascertain vital information. This inner being is in constant contact with all levels of our consciousness. The shamanic journey believes that once within, a person will find the answers to all of their questions, good and bad. During the journey, a person goes beyond their own awareness. Oftentimes, people will describe seeing various lights, and these can be interpreted in different ways. Many people experience a change in body temperature or a shift of movement. The experience is unique unto itself and may provide insights that are unexpected and revealing. And I would honestly say that's a very good explanation of a shamanic journey. For me personally, when I undergo a shamanic journey, I do see things similar to how you would see them in a dream. I can enter an entire other world and experience something that nobody else can experience because it's all happening to me inside of my brain. Now, personally, I believe that this is what people are talking about when they speak about the astral plane as well. I think that these two terms are being used interchangeably, but people will argue about this online and say, no, the astral plane and out-of-body experience is literally a spirit going out of your body, whereas shamanic journeying is you being within the body and entering deeper into the self. I don't know about that. Again, I will never insult someone else's practice. If you believe that they are different, that's fine. But in my experience, everything seems to amount to shamanic journeying. If you're familiar with lucid dreaming, where you go to sleep and then while dreaming, you wake up within the dream. You become conscious while in the dream and can then control that dream world. Shamanic journeying is the opposite of that. You are inducing a dreamlike state while still conscious. So instead of going to sleep and then becoming conscious, you're conscious and then bringing in the dreamlike state. It's reverse lucid dreaming. Now, when you dream, your subconscious mind is just doing whatever it's doing, and you're just kind of thrown to the winds in it unless you become lucid within the dream. And when you're lucid within a dream like that, then you can control it, and usually people will use that to just have fun in their dream. Shamanic journeying being the opposite, you're very aware and can direct right from the start. What are we doing a journey about? What are we trying to learn? What is the purpose of this journey before you even meditate, enter trance state, and then enter journey state? With that attention and focus that you gain from practicing meditation and from being able to enter trance state successfully before this point, you are entering a dream with a purpose of seeing some kind of an answer or reaching some kind of a conclusion or going deeper into the self to learn about the self or trying to reach out to the greater universe to learn more about the universe. What happens then is that the subconscious mind fills in everything. It's going to create the world for you to have an experience. So unlike in a lucid dream where you're taking control from the subconscious to change the dream, here you're giving a goal to the subconscious and then allowing it to create this world and direct you. It's allowing you to give the subconscious the ability to show you something from it. And as a result, doing this repeatedly will eventually get you very in touch with your subconscious mind to the point where you can drop into the journey state without having to do a meditation or trance state first. Now, how do you get into the journey state? Well, first, you get into that meditative state after, again, you've come up with what your purpose is going to be for this particular journey. Then you allow yourself to enter trance, and then you go deeper. You go into a deeper, more zoned out, more daydream-like trance. For me, I will, exactly as it said, see colors. I will start to see shapes and colors forming. This happens to me also when I'm falling asleep. If you start to notice that moment between being awake and asleep, where your body starts to feel almost vibrating, you start to see like shapes and colors, you start to just almost feel like you're hallucinating, then you're moving into what I would call the journey state. If you can then take your focus while that's happening and allow it to stay on your question, but not shape the world around you. You don't want to interfere with what's being shaped. then things will start to come into full color as if you're entering into some other place. Now, some people will call this the spirit world or the astral plane. Some people believe that you are traveling out of body to somewhere. I believe that you're entering deeper into the self, that you're interacting with your subconscious mind in a way that allows you to learn about the self to a greater degree. Regardless of how you believe it works, it will end up showing you things about who you are and about the world that you wouldn't have conceived of directly on your own. And that is the goal of the shamanic journey. The goal is to expand the self, become more aware, become more open to other things, become more in tune with your own self, to become a better, happier person. However, again, this takes a lot of practice. This takes a lot of trial and error. The first few times you're trying to enter the state, you're not going to see anything. This is something that takes a long time. But once you get used to it, again, your body gets used to what the state feels like and you can move into it much more quickly. I've actually reached the point where I can have a shamanic journey while on a walk. And that can happen to anybody who practices this a lot. Now, what's the risk with shamanic journeying? Because we're talking about all the risks as well. The risk is if you don't do the thing where I was talking about how you don't take control of the journey. If you enter into the journey state and then try to control the journey and change everything around you so that you're making your own fantasy world, you can pull yourself away from the spiritual knowledge gaining that you were going to get from the journey and into just a playground that you've made in your own mind. People can get addicted to such a playground and as a result withdraw from society. They can decide, oh, I'm the master of my own world when I'm in the journey world, so I'm just going to go in the journey world all the time and I'm just going to recluse from society. That's not what it's for. You shouldn't be journeying every day. You should be journeying once a week, once a month, something like that, if you're going to do this. Your life is in the real world. It's not in the journey world. The journey world is a method for making your real world life better. It's not a replacement for your real world life. That's where the risk comes in. So you can see with trance state and journey state how there's this giant risk when you get into these occult practices of just moving yourself into a delusional world of self-creation. That's the risk if you do these techniques and you're not aware to watch out for that. The goal should always be to make life better here, not to get sucked into some kind of an egoic idea that you are some powerful wizard or to get pulled into some other world away from here. If you're trying to go into daydreams, go into another world, leave this world behind, you're in a very dangerous place. Now, people ask me all the time, what are my practices like now? Because I do occult practices, and I've done a lot of these practices in the past, but I often say I don't do very much magic anymore. So they say, well, what do you do? Well, what we just talked about today is 80 to 90% of my practice now. About once a week, I do a shamanic journey. I do meditation regularly, mindfulness practices regularly. All of these with the goals of improving my own life right now, making myself more aware, making myself more in tune with the current moment, with what's happening right here and now, as opposed to being in my head thinking all the time. Literally 80 to 90% of my practice is this. And if you're someone who that's their goal is to just learn more about the self, dive deeper into who you are as a person, become a more accepting person, etc., these three practices are all you need. You don't need anything else. Do I do other stuff? Yes. The other 10 to 20% of my time is a combination of ritual and what people would call magic. But most of the rituals that I do are more like celebratory. So I'll do a ritual on the solstice, for example, and it'll be big and it'll be spectacular, but the point is just to enjoy the ritual. It's more of a getting in touch with this part of myself that likes ritual and the fun of it. But every now and then I do a ritual, which is a magic ritual, and so our next topic for next time will be magic and rituals. Longtime listeners are going to say, what about evocation, invocation? You've had a very long history of working with what people would consider deities, although there's always been the question, is that different parts of the self? Is that the all or God having multiple faces, or are they individual spirits? Regardless, you've always said that you work with these different spirits and things. How does that figure into this 100% figure of what you do all the time? Well, for me personally, that interaction happens during shamanic journeying. I used to use evocation and invocation techniques to try to directly call on different spirits and things, and so we'll probably have a lesson talking about that as well. And I think that is a handy way to do that early in, but for me now, that's just part of my journey time. I'll go on a journey and interact with something, which may be the self or may be something else, and those interactions happen there. So you actually don't need to do anything else in order to have those interactions with ancient gods or fairies or spirits. That can all happen, or your guides, as some people say. That can all happen on the journey. And thank you guys for watching this one. I hope you liked it. And until next time, safe travels.